They condemn you because you saw what they hide. You spoke the quiet truths that everyone else was too afraid to name. You looked beyond the smiles, the staged kindness, the carefully curated lies, and you saw them, not their image, not their mask, them, the part they keep buried under performance and pride. And they never forgave you for that. They never hated you for being wrong, they hated you for being right. You didn't play along. You didn't join their theater of falsehoods. While they worshipped appearances, you kept searching for substance. And when you finally pointed out the cracks in their perfection, they didn't fix them, they painted over them, then blamed you for noticing. You became their threat the moment you stopped participating in their illusion. People like that survive on secrecy. They crave validation, not understanding. And when you refuse to play your part, the quiet, compliant one who claps for hypocrisy, you became the villain in their script. They condemned you not for your sins, but for your sight. The truth is uncomfortable when you've built your identity on lies. You became their mirror, and mirrors are dangerous things. They show people what they've spent years avoiding. And when they couldn't destroy the reflection, they decided to destroy the mirror. They say you changed, but you didn't. You just stopped pretending not to notice. You stopped laughing at fake jokes, stopped defending people who only showed loyalty when convenient. You began to move differently, and suddenly the masks started slipping. Their discomfort was never about you. It was about exposure. They talk about you now, whispering, dramatizing, rewriting the story, because villains make better conversation than truth tellers. It's easier to condemn you than confront the parts of themselves you revealed. So they built a narrative where you're the problem, because that way, they never have to face what they are. You became their cautionary tale. Don't end up like them, they say. But what they really mean is, don't wake up like them. Because once you see through the act, you can't go back to clapping. You can't unsee the manipulation, the ego disguised as morality, the affection that was always conditional. They mistake your silence for guilt. But it's not guilt, it's grace. You don't need to defend yourself to those who already decided their version of the truth. You learned that arguments with liars only make the lie louder, so you went quiet. And in that quiet, their stories began to crumble. They condemn you because you made them visible. You stripped away their borrowed light. You turned the spotlight back toward the shadows. And people who thrive in darkness despise illumination. They'll call you arrogant, cruel, dramatic, anything but accurate. Because accuracy is fatal to falsehood. And now, you walk alone but free. You no longer seek acceptance from those who wear their morality like makeup. You've seen too much to return to blindness. You learned that solitude is safer than fake company, and truth is heavier, but cleaner than deception. They condemn you because you saw their true colors and refused to paint over them. They still perform, pretending the curtain never fell. But you can see the tremor in their smiles, the hesitation in their eyes. They sense your gaze on them, and it unsettles them, because you know what they look like without the costume. Nothing terrifies pretenders more than someone who remembers the truth. They gather in small circles to reassure each other that you're the problem. Every sentence they speak is a confession disguised as gossip. You don't correct them. You don't need to. The truth doesn't need defenders. It needs time. And time is patient. It always exposes what ego tries to hide. You learned that peace isn't the absence of enemies. It's the absence of masks. Once you've seen people's true faces, you stop expecting sincerity from them. You stop offering explanations to those who hear only what flatters them. You start living quietly, watching their performances with detached amusement. They mistake your detachment for bitterness. But bitterness is loud. Indifference is elegant. You no longer need revenge. You have perspective. You understand now that falsehood collapses under its own weight. All you have to do is step aside and let gravity do its work. You stopped collecting apologies. You realized most are not apologies at all, just people trying to reset access to you. So you built boundaries so high that only truth can climb them. It's lonely up there, yes, but it's honest. And honesty has become your oxygen. They think your quiet is weakness because they mistake noise for strength. But strength is restraint. Power is refusing to waste words on those who twist them. Every time you stay silent, they reveal themselves a little more. You learned that the best interrogation tool is patience. You don't flinch anymore when they accuse you. You let them talk. Let them invent. Lies are like ghosts, they vanish when ignored. And every false story told about you becomes another thread tightening around their own reputation. Their theater is collapsing, and you don't even have to lift a hand. You've grown fluent in solitude. It no longer feels like exile, it feels like clarity. There's peace in being misunderstood by liars, because you no longer need them to understand you. You don't explain honesty to those addicted to illusion. You let them drown in their own narratives. They condemn you because you don't worship their version of truth. But you've learned, truth doesn't need a congregation, only conviction. You carry it quietly now, like a weapon concealed beneath elegance. They sense it, even if they can't name it, the calm of someone who knows too much and speaks too little. And in the end, that's what breaks them. Not your words, not your actions, your awareness. You saw their true colors, and you didn't flinch. You didn't run. You simply stepped back and let the light do what it always does, reveal. And revelation, my dear, is the one thing falsehood can never survive. They think you disappeared. You didn't. You simply stopped performing. You walked off their stage and built your own room of silence where only truth is invited. From there you watch them scramble for an audience, terrified that the applause has died. They still crave validation. You now crave nothing. You've become the still point they can't reach. Every rumor they release returns to them slightly distorted, a mirror echoing their own cruelty. They don't understand how it happens, and that's what eats them alive, the realization that your absence became their reflection. Once you stop reacting, the entire machinery of manipulation collapses. You learned that early. When you refused to defend yourself, their words lost oxygen. They mistook your calm for surrender, but it was strategy. You understood that silence in the right hands is a blade sharper than anger. They missed the version of you that used to justify everything. They missed the angel who kept forgiving their shadows. But the angel grew tired of being the light source for people afraid of dawn. Now you shine differently, cold, deliberate, selective. The warmth they once abused no longer exists for them. You became the reminder they can't escape. Your name surfaces when honesty threatens to surface. They roll their eyes, pretend indifference, but their tone betrays them. You've become proof that authenticity survives exile, and they resent that proof because it nullifies their pretense. You stop trying to change anyone. That's real maturity. Watching someone lie, betray, and repeat the pattern without lifting a finger to save them. You simply observe, detached and calm, knowing that life always demands payment in the currency of truth. They condemn you because you're free. You don't owe them narrative, explanation, or access. Freedom frightens those who live on approval. You learn that detachment isn't loneliness, it's sovereignty. You own your peace the way tyrants own empires, except yours requires no subjects. The stories they tell about you are shrinking. Each time you thrive silently, their versions lose credibility. Lies decay when starved of attention. You don't fight them, you outlast them. Time, after all, is loyal to the truthful. Now they avoid your eyes. Not because you threaten them, but because they see what you see. They feel exposed in your presence, stripped of performance. That's the quiet authority of awareness. It commands without demanding. It unsettles without speaking. And you, once the condemned, now walk through their world untouchable. You don't seek revenge, you embody it. Your existence is the verdict. They condemned you because you saw their true colors, and the tragedy for them is simple. The vision you carry cannot be unseen, and the peace you've earned cannot be taken back. They expected your absence to look like defeat. They thought leaving you out would quiet you down, make you crawl back for closure. But you didn't crawl. You ascended. You left quietly, carried your dignity in both hands, and disappeared without an announcement. That silence humiliated them more than any speech could have. At first, they waited for a reaction. They threw bait provocations, rumors, small insults designed to test if you still cared. You didn't blink. You gave them nothing but calm. And that calm terrified them, because people who once fed off your emotions starve when you stop serving them. They check your life from the corners of their screens now. Every post, every movement, every rumor of your peace feels like betrayal. They can't comprehend how someone they tried to ruin simply stopped reacting. They wanted chaos. You gave them stillness. And nothing is louder than silence that doesn't need validation. You learned that indifference is the final evolution of self-respect. It's not hatred, it's freedom. You no longer invest energy in proving who you are to people who already decided what they wanted to believe. You just walk away, and the echo of your footsteps keeps them awake. They call you arrogant because they confuse boundaries with ego. But your calm isn't arrogance, it's exhaustion cured by detachment. You've outgrown the performance of explaining yourself to the unlistening. That's what burns them the most. They no longer have the privilege of misunderstanding you. They whisper that you've changed. You have. You stopped caring about the applause of people who booed when you were real. You learned that not everything deserves your response. Your silence is your statement, your peace the sharpest comeback. They wanted to see you broken, begging, seeking closure. Instead, you became composed, private, unbothered. That composure exposes their immaturity. It reminds them that control isn't about dominance, it's about discipline. You learn to walk away with grace, and they can't forgive you for doing it so beautifully. They mistake your laughter for mockery. They don't understand that joy after betrayal isn't revenge, it's recovery. You no longer need to prove you're fine. You are fine. Their obsession with your indifference is the proof. You healed while they rehearsed reasons you shouldn't have. They try to provoke you through others' now small comments, passive messages, mutual friends carrying updates you didn't ask for. You smile, nod, and change the subject. That small act of emotional control drives them mad. They can't stand that you've become immune to the drama they built their identity around. And so they call you heartless. But the truth is simpler. You just stopped handing your heart to people who drop it. Your IDGAF attitude isn't cruelty, it's clarity. You finally understand that caring is sacred, and not everyone deserves it. They wanted your reaction. Instead, you gave them peace, and peace, to the guilty, feels like punishment. They keep watching, hoping the old version of you will slip out by accident. The one who reacted, explained, overgave, but that person is gone. You buried them beneath boundaries and stillness. You speak less now, move slower, think deeper. They call it distance, but it's evolution. They try to bait you with nostalgia. Remember when you cared? They ask, pretending warmth. But the question is a confession. They missed the control they had when you cared. You smile politely, answer with silence, and that single act unsettles them more than any argument ever could. Every time you don't respond, their ego takes the hit. They replay your quiet like a crime scene, searching for signs of weakness. But your absence has no clues. It's complete. You mastered the art of non-participation, and that mastery is what keeps them pacing in their own cage. They gossip, because gossip is cheaper than self-reflection. You let them. Lies decay in circulation. You don't chase rumors anymore. You let them orbit and burn out in their own friction. The truth doesn't need rescuing. It only needs witnesses. Time provides plenty. Your peace has become theatrical to them. They can't comprehend calm without agenda, so they assign you motives. They're pretending. They're plotting. The reality is simpler. You're simply done. Nothing enrages manipulators more than someone who's sincerely finished. They scroll through fragments of your life looking for cracks, something to prove you're still wounded, but you healed quietly without posting the process. Real healing is invisible. It leaves no proof for the audience. That invisibility drives them mad. They want you back in their drama because peace makes their chaos feel meaningless. Without you reacting, their games have no prize. You dismantled their power simply by refusing to play. That's why your IDGAF attitude stings. It reminds them that control only works on the willing. You no longer correct their version of events. You let them believe what they need to sleep at night. It's not your job to be their clarity. You've learned that peace costs the price of misunderstanding, and you're willing to pay it. Freedom always demands that toll. They accuse you of thinking you're better. You don't. You just value yourself enough to stay unavailable to nonsense. That's the difference between arrogance and awareness. Arrogance performs, awareness withdraws. You've chosen withdrawal, and that choice terrifies them. Now, every time your name is mentioned, it lingers. You've become an unsolved riddle in their stories, how someone could be so unbothered after so much chaos. They'll keep guessing. Let them. Because mystery is the last gift you give those who once took everything else. They thought distance would diminish you, but instead, it defined you. The further you walked, the clearer your reflection became. You realized that peace isn't about isolation, it's about elevation. You didn't retreat, you rose. And in your rise, they saw their own stagnation mirrored back at them. That's what eats them alive. They used to mock your kindness, whisper that you cared too much. Now they envy the silence that replaced it. Because that silence has gravity, it pulls attention, it commands the room without trying. You've become what they feared, the one who no longer needs to explain, apologize, or participate. You turned your restraint into a crown. Every time they mention your name, the air shifts. It carries both awe and bitterness. They try to dismiss you with the same mouths that can't stop repeating your story. You've become folklore proof that surviving betrayal turns you into myth, and myths don't argue, they echo. You no longer walk to prove a point. Your existence is the point. They can't stand that the version of you they tried to destroy became the one the world now admires. Their envy isn't about your success, it's about your serenity. They can buy status, followers, imitation, but not your peace. Peace like yours can only be earned through war with the self. They study your stillness like detectives of your downfall. Every breath you take unsettles them because it contradicts their expectations. You were supposed to crumble. You didn't. You were supposed to beg. You didn't. You were supposed to stay broken. Instead, you built an empire from the rubble and never invited them in. Now they move carefully around your name, afraid to sound obsessed but unable to hide the fascination. They lurk behind blocked accounts, mutual friends, second-hand updates, all to keep tabs on someone who stopped playing the game. And that's your quiet victory. They still chase what you've outgrown. You don't even have to respond anymore. Your peace speaks louder than revenge ever could. Revenge requires attention. Peace demands evolution. You evolved, and they mistook it for ego. But ego shouts, peace whispers. And your whisper is deafening to those still screaming for relevance. You no longer measure your worth by who claps for you. You learned that applause fades faster than truth. What stays is the discipline to remain calm while they self-destruct under the weight of their own envy. You don't fight fire with fire, you let theirs burn out while you walk through the smoke untouched. They'll tell others that you changed. They'll call it coldness. But what really changed was your tolerance for chaos. You stopped entertaining people who mistake access for importance. You became selective with your energy, and that selectivity made you untouchable. And now, in their quietest moments, they replay everything. They remember the one who cared, who stayed, who forgave, and they realize they broke the version of you that would have saved them. What remains is the version they created, the one who doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't need. You, at peace. And that peace is their punishment. They broke the angel, not with fire, not with war, but with neglect, the kind of quiet cruelty that kills slowly. You kept forgiving, kept showing grace, thinking patience would heal what they refused to stop wounding. You gave light to people who hid from it. You called it love. They called it convenience. Every time you fell, you believed the world would catch you, but the world didn't even look up. So you learned the lesson all pure souls eventually learn. Sometimes innocence isn't rewarded, it's targeted. And those who cannot match your purity will always try to stain it. They broke you with small betrayals, polite lies, half-hearted promises. You didn't break loud, you shattered quietly, like glass under silk. And when you disappeared, they laughed. They thought silence meant surrender, but silence was incubation. You weren't gone, you were rebuilding. They loved you when you were gentle, because gentle things are easy to control. But when you hardened, when you learned the beauty of no, when you stopped explaining your pain, suddenly you were the villain. That's how it always goes. The moment you start respecting yourself, the world calls it ego. Now they look at you and whisper, "What happened?" You did. You happened. The version of you that they broke learned how to never bend again. You built a fortress out of the rubble. You turned every apology you never got into a brick. And you smiled while doing it, not because it didn't hurt, but because pain finally had purpose. They used to take your kindness for granted. Now they take your absence personally. You became a silence that screams louder than your old forgiveness ever did. They wanted your empathy. They got your evolution instead. And evolution, my dear, doesn't ask for permission. You stopped bleeding for those who never flinched at your wounds. You stopped being the medicine for people addicted to your suffering. That was your first act of rebellion, peace disguised as indifference. And in that calm, they saw something terrifying. You no longer needed them. They see your calm and call it coldness. But it's not coldness, it's control. You stopped reacting, stopped explaining, stopped begging. You learned that angels don't fall. They rise disguised as demons when they've seen too much heaven wasted on the wrong souls. Now they whisper your name with fear, not nostalgia. You became the warning they give to others. Don't play with someone who has nothing left to lose. They see you thriving, detached, untouchable, and it kills them quietly. Because deep down they know they created the very force that now eclipses them. They broke the angel, they shattered your wings, thinking you'd never fly again. But they forgot wings grow back sharper when rebuilt in fire. You didn't just rise. You ascended with eyes open, no longer blinded by love. And now, the ones who once called you too good call you too much. That's not change, that's clarity. They call you heartless now, but that's just projection. You still have a heart, it's just no longer on display. You tucked it behind armor, forged in disappointment, guarded it with silence, and crowned it with restraint. What they call cold is simply warmth that learned self-respect. They say you've changed, you haven't. You just stopped volunteering for your own destruction. You stopped walking into flames expecting people to notice you were burning. You stopped mistaking pain for loyalty. That isn't change, that's awakening. And awakenings are always misread by those who sleep comfortably in denial. They used to laugh when you spoke about love. They mocked your sincerity, rolled their eyes at your faith. But now they can't laugh. Now, when you walk into a room, they fall silent because your calm exposes their noise. They can't meet your eyes because your peace reflects their unrest. You don't chase anymore, you don't explain, defend, or beg. You learn that power doesn't shout, it observes. That silence, when it's earned, speaks louder than rage. You became fluent in the language of indifference, and that terrified them because they thrived on your reactions. Without your chaos, their world fell still. They can't decide what scares them more, your absence or your evolution. When you were broken, they felt powerful. Now that you're whole, they feel exposed. Because they can't manipulate what no longer seeks approval. You stopped orbiting them, and suddenly, they realized they were never the sun, just the shadow. They gossip about your transformation because they can't decode it. You've gone dark, they say, not realizing darkness was your refuge, not your downfall. You went into the dark to heal, to rebuild, to rewire. And when you emerged, they mistook your stillness for emptiness. But you know better, emptiness is what they feel when they can't reach you. They see your peace and call it arrogance. But peace, after chaos, is the most dangerous weapon. Because you're not fighting anyone anymore, you're letting them fight themselves. Every lie they told about you now echoes back at them. Every game they played now costs them sleep. Karma didn't need your help, it just needed your silence. You learned that not all demons wear horns. Some wear apologies, some wear smiles, and the cruelest ones call it love. But you learned to recognize them, didn't you? You learned that being kind to the wrong people is how angels bleed. So you stopped bleeding. You started watching. You became the lesson. They thought breaking you would humble you. Instead, it crowned you. Because nothing is more powerful than someone who has already been destroyed and built themselves back without resentment. You didn't return to prove them wrong, you returned to prove to yourself that they never defined you. And now, they fear what they built. The demon they mocked into existence doesn't roar, doesn't chase, doesn't burn things down. It simply exists elegantly, mercilessly free. They look at you now and realize the truth. They didn't destroy you. They only destroyed their access to you. And that, my dear, is the real punishment. They whisper your name like a warning now. The same mouths that once mocked you now weigh every word before they speak, because you taught them what consequence looks like, not through revenge, but through absence. You didn't destroy them. You just let life show them what it's like to live without your grace. They never understood how light could turn dark so beautifully. They expected fury, but you gave them silence. They expected chaos, but you gave them composure. You didn't need to raise your voice. Your peace became the thunder that echoed louder than any scream. The silence they once took for weakness now feels like judgment. They still talk about you not out of love, but out of confusion. How did the one they broke rise so calmly? How did the one they buried come back glowing with restraint instead of rage? It's simple. You stopped trying to heal in the same place that made you sick. You found peace in distance, not destruction. They look at your life now, how you glow, how you move, and it eats them alive. Not because you're flaunting victory, but because you've mastered the art of not needing validation. You no longer post your wounds for applause. You heal in silence. You win quietly, and that silence drives them mad. They call it arrogance because they can't name the feeling of being irrelevant. They used to matter, now they don't. They used to haunt you, now you sleep soundly. That's the cruel poetry of growth. The ones who once defined your pain no longer define anything at all. You stop proving, stop pleading, stop performing. You realize that power isn't about being louder, it's about being untouchable. You no longer demand to be understood. Let them misunderstand. It's cheaper than explaining your evolution to people who still live in the past version of you. They thought they could end you by breaking you, but all they did was remove your illusion. The angel they shattered was the version that believed people could love purely. The demon that rose afterward loves differently, selectively, deliberately, with eyes open and a heart armored in truth. Now they crave the version of you that no longer exists. They replay old memories like addicts chasing a high. But that person, that naive light, was buried the moment they chose deceit over loyalty. You mourned it once. Now you honor it by never returning. That's what real healing looks like, loving who you were while never becoming it again. You've learned that peace isn't found in forgiveness alone, it's found in detachment. You no longer hate them. You simply see through them. Hate still connects you. Indifference severs the thread. And that's the most frightening thing of all. They can't hurt what no longer responds. And so, when they look at you now, they don't see the angel they once broke. They see the reflection of every wrong they ever did. They see calm where chaos used to live, strength where submission once stood. They fear you not because you became a monster, but because you became everything they never expected, whole, healed, and utterly beyond their reach. They once looked at you and saw fragility, someone too soft to survive without their approval, too kind to ever walk away. But fragility doesn't mean weakness. It means transparency before the world learns how to break you. And when they finally broke you, they forgot one thing: glass, once shattered, cuts deeper than anything they've ever touched. They thought you'd fade quietly, that you'd crumble, plead, return. But you didn't fall apart, you fell into yourself. You learned that solitude is not emptiness, it's refinement. They mistook your stillness for surrender, not realizing that silence is where real power learns how to breathe. They said you'd never survive without them. Funny how survival became your specialty. While they drowned in their own noise, you rebuilt yourself in the dark, not for applause, not for revenge, but for peace. The kind of peace that rattles those who never found it. They waited for your breakdown, not your breakthrough. But the universe has a cruel sense of humor. It made you bloom in the ruins they left behind. Every time they cursed your name, the echo came back carrying your victory. They called you dramatic, emotional, difficult, anything to make themselves feel stable. But time revealed what you always knew: that emotional doesn't mean weak, and quiet doesn't mean defeated. They built their comfort on your chaos, and when you took the chaos back, their comfort collapsed. They wanted you predictable, compliant, small. Instead, you became unreadable. You started smiling at things that once destroyed you. That's what terrifies them most, not your success, but your serenity, because peace in the hands of the once broken looks like a weapon. They whisper now, saying you've changed, but they don't mean it as an observation, they mean it as an accusation. Because if you've changed, then they have to face who they were when you were still theirs. And no one likes looking in the mirror that tells the truth. They can't believe you stopped caring. But you didn't stop caring, you just stopped bleeding for unworthy causes. You learned the most dangerous skill of all: detachment. To love without losing yourself, to leave without looking back. That kind of growth terrifies the ones who stay stagnant. They'll tell stories about you, twist them, decorate them, dilute them, but that's fine. Legends are always misunderstood in the first chapter. What matters is this: their doubt built the stage, and you learned how to perform without needing their applause. And now look at you, calm, untouchable. Everything they said you'd never be and more. You didn't rise to prove them wrong. You rose because it was the only way left to live. And that's the irony of it all. They wanted to destroy you, but instead, they built you. You became everything they thought you'd never be, and now, that's all they can see. They used to measure your worth by how much you needed them. Now they have no unit of measurement left. You stopped orbiting around their approval, and suddenly their entire sky went dark. That's what happens when people mistake your light for their control. When you take it back, their world goes black. They call it arrogance now, the way you carry yourself. But arrogance is loud, you're quiet. And quiet confidence unsettles the insecure because it whispers what their ego screams to hide: that you no longer seek permission to exist. They used to command your energy, Now they can't even command your attention. They analyze your calm like detectives, trying to find cracks, motives, explanations. But peace doesn't need an alibi. It's not pretending. It's proof. Every rumor they start about you is just another confession that they can't understand how you're still standing. They thought the story would end when you walked away. They never expected a sequel where the protagonist glows in silence and the antagonists argue among themselves. You didn't need revenge time did it for you. It replayed every lie, every manipulation, and forced them to watch it from the other side. They talk about you with a bitterness that tastes like regret, because deep down they know what really haunts them. You were never supposed to win. You were supposed to beg, crawl, apologize. Instead, you healed, and healing is the one thing they can't compete with. They thought they'd moved on. They even convinced themselves that indifference was victory. But indifference doesn't stalk peace in silence. They still scroll, still wonder, still compare. Because when someone truly moves on, curiosity dies and theirs refuses to. They never realized that peace changes your language. You stopped arguing, stopped proving, stopped explaining. Every time they tried to bait you into chaos, you just smiled, not mockingly, but knowingly, because once you've tasted serenity, noise feels like poverty. And the final irony? They wanted to see you broken, so they'd have a story to tell. Instead, you became a reminder of what they could have been if they'd chosen growth over ego. You didn't just survive them, you outgrew the version of yourself that ever needed them. And that's what truly destroys them. You became everything they thought you'd never be, and they became everything they swore they'd never become. They can't stand how unbothered you've become. Once upon a time, they could trigger you with a word, twist your emotions like wires. Now they shout into silence, and that silence answers louder than any scream. They used to feed off your reactions, now they starve in your absence. That's the quiet starvation of the manipulative the moment they realize the puppet has cut its own strings. They wander through their own regrets like ghosts, haunted not by your memory, but by your peace. You don't haunt them because you left. You haunt them because you healed. They can't forgive you for choosing yourself, because choosing yourself meant they lost control, and control was the only kind of love they ever knew how to give. They try to rewrite the story now, pretend you were the villain all along. It's easier that way. Villains are simple to hate, victims are too complicated to face. But deep down, even they know the truth. You didn't turn cold. You turned real, and reality is the one thing they never had the courage to live with. They talk about you in fragments, half-truths, and twisted details, hoping that by rewriting your story, they can shrink your impact. But the more they talk, the more they sound like the broken ones. You don't need to defend your legacy. Their words already do it for you. Every rumor they start builds another monument to your silence. They tell themselves they don't care, but they watch. They always watch. Every post, every whisper, every quiet move, their curiosity betrays their denial. You became their favorite contradiction, the one they claim to forget but can't stop observing. You live rent-free in the corners of their conscience. They envy how peace fits you now like armor custom forged in fire. Because they tried to break you, and all they did was sharpen your edges. You learned to wear calm like a crown, not a costume. They mistake your composure for ego, but it's not arrogance. It's evolution. You no longer need to prove that you're untouchable. Your silence proves it every day. They thought they could replace you, and they tried. Oh, they tried. But replacements don't come with the same gravity. The people who come after you are always measured by your absence, and they all fail the test. Because your value was never in what you gave them. It was in who you were when they took it for granted. They laugh about you now, but it's a hollow laugh, the kind that cracks halfway through. Because behind that sound sits realization They lost something permanent, chasing something temporary. And that's a wound no distraction can cauterize. It bleeds quietly in their pride every time they hear your name spoken with respect. They can't understand how you can be so calm, how you can smile at the chaos they once used to drown you. But that's what happens when you master yourself. You stop reacting to storms you've already survived. You've been through their worst. There's nothing left they can take. That's why your peace feels like arrogance to them. Because it's a mirror, and they can't stand the reflection. And in the end, that's the irony that stings them the most. You never needed revenge. You never needed validation. You never needed to prove you were right. You just needed to walk away and stay gone. And now, every breath you take in peace is another reminder that they created the very person they were never built to destroy. You became everything they thought you'd never be, and now that truth is the ghost that follows them everywhere they go.